So, I just had a bitch get mad at me tonight because I didn't want to give her half of my chicken sandwich that I paid for myself. I didn't feel comfortable ripping it apart with my bare fucking hands and giving her the other mangled piece. And she had such an attitude over that. She was like, see, you an Indian gift giver. You an Indian gift giver. That's what you are. Bitch, I never said you could have it. She asked for it. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have any utensils to cut it with." And then she was like, "Oh, just use it here." And she tried to just gesture out her hand, and she was like, "Huh." And I was like, "Oh no, like I really don't feel comfortable like eating like a sandwich where like someone ripped half of it off with their hand. I that's just not something I'm comfortable with. I'm sorry." And it's like at first I thought she meant it as a joke, but she was serious. And then she was like, "All right, fine, you do it then. You rip it." And I was like, "I don't feel you rip it." And I was like, "I don't feel comfortable doing that." And she got so pissy. Oh my god! And this was right before the comedy class. And mind you, this bitch already isn't funny. So I don't know how to put this. She wasn't even in the comedy class as a student when she really should have fucking been. She's not funny. The guy who runs the comedy class, he specifically like he's like kind of like a godfather in a sense to her, or like a friend that acts as her only source of family. You know, so she's just getting stage time to perform and teach us, really, because he kind of feels bad for her. And every time she gets on stage, all she does is she yaps about dirty fucking pussy and ooh, I hate bitches with bad pussy and this and that. She's not a funny woman, not in the slightest. It's like fucking. I've made this joke before, and it feels a little too fucked up to put on the internet permanently forever. But I'm gonna say it. It feels like someone from special ed with leukemia just like they're part of the Make a Wish Foundation, and their final wish was to teach a comedy class, except all their jokes are about hating bitches with funky pussy and wanting sex, and that's it. And then you just kind of tolerate it because you're just like, shit, dude. Like, you know, you're like, fuck, I'm paying good money for these classes and this is taking up my Monday night. But you gotta go through with it because it's like, okay, fuck, we're doing this person a favor and they'll be happy, you know? But oh my fuck, you should have seen it. Oh my god. They instigated like multiple times, like even when they were on stage, they kept trying to take shots my direction, all because they were really that fucking mad that I didn't give them half of my chicken sandwich. Mind you, they're like 200 fucking pounds and hell, like, that. I'm not trying. You don't. What the? It's like, bitch, I look like a starving Ethiopian child that needs 20 cents a day and you're trying to take my food from me? What the fuck are you doing? It's like you're already not funny on stage. How about you just perform on stage, or perform and do your thing? Why are you trying to take shots at me while you're on stage? But the wildest thing was towards the end of the comedy class, the teacher announces, "Hey everybody, guess what? Next week you're going to be performing in a showcase in this area, and it's going to be a group discussion. A bunch of comics are going to perform. But the week after that, we got you a big venue where it's going to be a huge audience. Yeah, tons of people are going to be guaranteed to come. It's not even like it's guaranteed to bring in an audience. We are going to get butts in seats, and you will get a chance to perform for a second time in front of everyone and really show your stuff. So make it good, make it really good. I'm even going to bring in some comics I know so that we can all just support, blah blah blah." Or he didn't really say support. He suggested he was going to bring in the comics. He could have been, I don't know, comics always show up at fucking showcases. They're vultures. And he was like, "Any questions, Zenyadoll?" And I sort of like raised my hand. It's like the question was already on my mind for a while, but at some point I raised my hand subconsciously, and then I kind of thought, okay, there's no going back. I asked, out of curiosity, since we're gonna be performing at the showcase, and like, is there any chance there's gonna be like a tip bucket for like performers? And that nigga stared at me as if I grew a second head. He was it was like the world stopped. It's like people want to get paid for performing, like that type of energy. He looks more like mildly baffled, if anything. But I was like, I'm just saying, I'm not saying I need it. I'm just asking out of curiosity, no issue. Like really, like the same, like. And then this bitch, the big back Rasputia meets young M.A. looking bitch, she pipes up like the blessing. She was like, the point that you're getting any stage time at all is the blessing. What the fuck are you talking about? Talking about some tips. And she just starts going off, going off, going off. And then next thing you know, she gets heated. I call her retarded. She calls me retarded and musty. The class laughs a little bit too hard when she says musty. I don't like that. Bitch, I have a fucking bag that weighs half as much as you do. And stilettos on. And I had to walk here. Shut the fuck up. But no, I objectively smell a lot better than she fucking does. Also, it's very wild that she wanted to try to play the musty card when it's like, bitch, you've lusted after me for weeks. Anytime I've shown up, you've tried to flirt with me. Anytime I've shown up, you've wanted a piece of this ass and this pussy. You're just mad because you're not getting it. You can't pull bitches, you can't pull in an audience yourself for a comedy show, and you can't even pull off a piece of my fucking chicken sandwich. I see why you're big fucking mad, but Jesus Christ. It got so heated and obnoxiously bad, I was so close to blacking the fuck out. And people don't know how bad it can get. Let's just say I was having some very primal ape-like sensations going through me. Where I was like, I just want to piss in a cup and fling it at this bitch from how she's talking to me. But can you do that? No. No. That is not socially... It's like, yeah, she was the one who was fucking this shit up in the first place. She was literally interrupting her own OnlyFriends class just to talk shit. And then try to instigate and started yelling and shouting out all sorts of fucked up language. It's like, she already is making herself look bad. I don't need to add fuel to the fire. And then you're like, Tamia, were you really going to throw a cup of your piss? Let's just say intrusive thoughts are intrusive. And blackouts, you don't know what will happen. But obviously, I did not piss in a cup and fling it at that bitch. At most, I said she's fucking retarded. Sorry to say the word retarded. I am mentally ill. I don't want to, it's like, but I have class and decorum more than she will ever fucking have in her entire goddamn life. That shit was so bad. And it's like, to think that it all started because it's like, oh no, a performer was potentially, it's like, simply put, there's no reason and that there shouldn't be a tip bucket because it's like, if there's really going to be such a huge crowd, and if we are the performers, and if we do well and the audience feels like giving something, and the option's there, why not? Why is that such an offensive concept? Jesus. I'm gonna say it, the comedy classes were already not on shit anyway, because it's like $60 for the whole fucking class, and people were paying weekly and shit. Thankfully, I wasn't paying for this shit, someone else was, because you know how I get down. People like me, and they're like, we want to see you thrive, so they fucking pay for my shit. Amen. And then, it's just like, simply put, it's like, wouldn't you want performers to value their own work? And not work for free? Like, yeah, we are just starting out, but it's like, what if we did really fucking well and there's a huge audience? I'm just saying, a tip buck, it's like, simply put, it's like, then it would, if we're already paying for classes, and then the fifth final so-called class, and all the other classes that we've had so far, they weren't teaching us shit. I can sum up all we've learned in these past 2 weeks, where it's, make sure your jokes are less than 2 sentences and or less than 25 words. Stupid fucking... by the way, but I get it. It's like, I don't agree with it, but I get it. And then the second thing they have taught us so far over the course of 3 weeks was, if you get on stage, make sure you take the mic out of the stand and put the stand behind you, and then as you're finishing up your last joke, slowly grab the mic stand and then put your mic back in place. I shit you not, that's the only 2 things we've fucking learned over these past few weeks. No offense, I could have gotten better advice on fucking comedy from a crackhead in the Tenderloin. I was severely disappointed. Thank God I wasn't paying for it. And I just kind of thought, like, everything about these comedy classes have just been unsatisfactory. Just like, and also, no offense, they have a stupid layout where they kind of, it doesn't even feel like a comedy class. It feels like a weird showcase where we show up, and then it's, all right, everybody, here's this one guy who runs that open mic that nobody goes to because they hate his jokes in the venue. Yeah! And then we watch him try to perform for like fucking 6 minutes straight until he eventually fucks off after total silence. And then it's like, alright, for your next one, here's a comedian all of you know who specifically never has gotten a fucking life in his entire career as a comedian. You have never seen him be funny. He's gonna be on stage for 6 minutes. Give it up for this guy. And then rinse and repeat. And then they finally get the dumbass bitch who had the chicken sandwich, and she gets the longest amount of time when she's not even funny. She's just vulgar. She sexually harassed 2 bitches in the crowd tonight, but that's a long story. I'm gonna say it though. Oh, that was some... I'm gonna say it. She acted in such a way that it made me really think, wow, this sounds out of pocket to say, but someone like that, it's like, like, this, it's like anything, it's, I can't describe this woman without thinking of slurs. Because of how bad it was. And before you get mad at me, shut the fuck up. She's lighter than me. She's stupid. That seems like a boondocks skit. Trying to instigate a fight with another black woman and acting like we're on the fucking Zeus network because I did not want to give you half of my chicken sandwich in the class. I paid for my chicken sandwich. I was eating it by myself. I was hungry as fuck. You wanted to come up to me, who you don't know, and ask for half of it, and I say no and make it clear, and then you're still out here begging and shit as if you're starving. You stupid fucking bitch. It's like, you're the reason slurs exist. I'm sorry. I can't think of a way to describe you without thinking of fucking slurs, and I don't like that. I don't like meeting people like that, where you just think, damn, you seem like a Boondocks character. Like that, it's like, I just heard the Uncle Ruckus in the background being like, well, well, well. It was so bad. Like, it's been several hours, and I still feel the tension in my brain from how much this bitch pissed me off. Over a chicken sandwich, and, like, half, not even a full one, half of a chicken sandwich. And then over me simply asking if we, as performers performing at a showcase, were going to have the chance of an optional tip bucket at all. Because performers deserve to get paid for the value of their work. And she wanted to fucking act so vilely and cruelly that it's just like, wow. Like, bitch was yelling, raging. Like, wow. It's just, what the fuck was wrong with her? And if it makes anyone feel better, I had a second chicken sandwich this whole fucking time. So sure, I could have given her half of my chicken sandwich, the first one. I could have even given her the entire chicken sandwich. But you know what? Some of us are not greedy, entitled fucking idiots. Some of us have decorum and lives, and, you know, we can, or like, something like, bitch, let me have my little lunch and my dinner. I'm just saying, it's like, how big-backed, how idiotic, how straight up, I'm gonna say the word, I'm sorry, retarded do you have to be? Where you are acting like a fucked up caricature. That, like, simply put, I really thought to myself, this seems like one of those moments where if my life was a story being written by someone, I would assume the person writing it was just some racist-ass Nazi, because why the fuck would they add this storyline into my plotline? Like, Timothy stopped going to comedy classes because a fellow black woman wanted to get really fucking angry over not getting half of a chicken sandwich, and then they started fighting each other in the class. Like, what the fuck kind of shit was that? I would go even more problematic with my jokes, which is ironic, because there was a third thing that was said during the comedy classes. They said never pull punches, never hold back. But at the same time, it's like, I might say a lot of really racist shit in this video, otherwise. And I already got dragged before in other videos. So I could be, it's like, I could say it. Let's just say it's like, I'm mad enough about this, but I don't know if I'm mad enough where I feel like saying 18 slurs on the internet with my face in it. Or at least it's like, on my Instagram, sure. On my Instagram story, sure, that's gonna expire in 24 hours. On YouTube, nah. That was some ghetto, hood rat, jigaboo, stupid shit. I don't even know what jigaboo means. I looked it up. It said derogatory term for a black person. I was like, yeah, let's just fucking toss that into this video like fucking seasoning. Fuck it. I'm still just sitting here in awe, like, wow, that bitch really, I want to say it. I have a word I want to say, but it's like, if I say it, you're going to be like, Tamia, you date too many white boys. You spent too much time looking at 4chan green text. I cannot say the words that are coming to mind right now. So sadly, even though in that comedy class they say, don't censor yourself. Whatever you do, don't censor your words, don't pull punches, don't hold back. Be yourself. Let your people find you. I don't want to say it. I'm just thinking it really hard. And if you're like, and I want you to think in your head, if you're like, oh, Tamia, what slurs are you thinking in your head right now? Like, I want you to think, what slurs could Tamia be thinking about this person? If you're like, oh, that one? Yes. That one? Yes. That one really deep in the back of your mind right now that you feel like burning back? That one especially. Oh, it was bad. I got a stupid ass, a chicken sandwich. So anyway, that's how my evening's going. Am I gonna go back to those comedy classes again? I already was thinking I wouldn't, but especially not so much. Like, especially after I already was considering not going back, because I thought to myself, okay, we've had several weeks of, like, no sort of real constructive criticism, no actual lessons being taught, nothing. Like, I could, like, Jesus Christ, even if I went to an open mic and drank, like, fucking 87 Red Bull Whiskeys, and then sat through and watched people terribly perform, I would have had a much better time. And learning and, like, what the fuck? No offense, I think Bill Burr could simply just, like, take acid and do some sort of fucked up rant that made 0 sense whatsoever into a mic for like 5 minutes, and it would still have more value to me than these classes have already had. Holy shit, thank God I wasn't the one paying for it. The bright side is, because of these classes, I did get some really good weed for my ex-boyfriend Liam. We met up last night, and before he went to bed, he did some fucking weed blows, and he was like, that's some good ass weed, baby. So I got to get him some more. Yeah, at the expense of my sanity. And I got to do several very long rants online that will either make people really, really like me and get me a whole bunch of awesome comedy opportunities, or will make people go, damn, Tamia is anti-black. And yeah. I'm not anti-black. I am anti-coon. I don't like people who act in stupid fuck. Cause why are you acting that way? So I guess the amusing thing about this is that instead of sitting through really shitty comedy classes with even more instances of the worst comics I have ever seen in my fucking area, trying to teach me about how to be a good comedian when they don't know, these fucking comedians, they don't know, they can't even tell the difference between their ass and a fucking hole in the ground. What can they fucking teach me about goddamn comedy? One of the comedians I saw tonight, who ironically, I remember when they showed up, I kind of joked like, "What the fuck are they doing here?" But I also meant like, "What the fuck?" It's like, oh, they're gonna teach us how to do comedy. The guy who gets on stage and talks about taking blue chews with Zins and fucking masturbating and then suicide and then screams into the mic the whole time and then says he's really high whenever people don't laugh, but he's never high. He's never been high when he's getting on stage. That guy's gonna teach us about comedy, and you know what's worse is I made out with that guy, but even then shut up, let's not talk about it. That's embarrassing enough. But funny enough, making out with that fucking guy was a lot less bad than having to be taught by him how to be funny. And that hurts like a fucking brick to the skull, baby. So yeah, I guess it kind of, how do I put this? That works as a good out. Because if I did leave the comedy classes before, like if I did just have this class today, then said, you know what, I'm going to leave because I don't think these classes have been beneficial and I don't feel like getting on stage and trying to perform in front of a bunch of hacks and like idiots who aren't very good, especially when they haven't even really taught me the art of how to properly perform and do well and don't really plan to. Like that just seems like a train wreck waiting to happen. It's like you got a whole bunch of people. Like the guy running the classes, he hasn't even asked us to fucking share each other's jokes or say what we've written at all. So for and it's like and then on top of that, hasn't been giving us any constructive criticism, hasn't been telling us any real thing to do on stage. Like he kind of just repeats the same shtick about like, ooh, Chris Rock when he gets, or Chris Tucker when he gets on stage, he paces back and forth so drunk people watch him, cause and then he stops when the punchline happens so people know when to laugh, and that's kind of been it. It's like you're not teaching us anything vital. You're teaching like most people already get on stage and they walk on a like what are you teaching us here? Nothing. It's like, no offense, I see why this so-called big legend in the local comedy scene is kind of, let's just say I see why only 5 people were willing to pay money to take these classes. Like, Jesus. Also, I'm going to say this, if the showcase was going to sell tickets free, then a tip bucket would have been totally rational to suggest. Paid, like then you're literally making money off of us, not just from the so-called class where you're not teaching us shit. You're making money off of the fact that you would then sell tickets to a big showcase, and the allure is, ooh, look, you'd have people watch you, an audience, and that's supposed to be our reward. We have bills to pay, or at the very least, what, we can't even have enough money to get like a tip. Even if it was like $5 spread between 5 people, it's like, okay, I can leave that and go to 7-Eleven and have a slightly cheaper powdered donuts pack. Like, come on now. It's not that big of it's not a big ask at all. Their reaction, Jesus. It's like, fuck them. So let's just say, since a buddy of mine in the comedy scene, he was paying for them because he was like, I think you'll get big, and I want you to stay until you can get like a solid 5 minutes of set material that'll be really funny, so you can get big. You're going to be on big stages one day. And I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. So they paid for the classes for me. It's like, $60 for the entire course, and then you got to buy us like fucking $10 minimum worth of shit each time to support the venue, but then secretly everything at the venue is like fucking 15 or 16, sometimes even $20 and ups. Plus they have a bunch of card fees, so it's like you think you're gonna be able to buy like a $10 blunt, but really it's gonna be like a fucking $13 pre-roll that's gonna have like a $3 card fee, tax, potential tip, and then on top of that, then oh yes, and then another fucking service fee on top of that, so you gotta pay another $10, and then your total's like fucking almost $30. It's fucking bullshit. Just to like, come on now. It's like after all that, you would probably run a showcase where you'd sell tickets, get butts and seats, and the venue makes money, you make money, and then what? The actual performers who actually told jokes don't. Like for experience, really, that's the cheapest thing you can ever fucking say. I'm not paying you to get on a stage, especially a stage at a like the place where the showcase would even happen isn't even like they said it themselves. They're like, it's kind of a piece of shit. It's like, imagine if Chili's just gave up and said fuck it, just fuck it. What if we said fuck it? And it's like, oh, so it's like, yeah, I get to perform at a knockoff, musty ass knockoff Chili's where all the food is under seasoned or no seasoning at all and disgustingly overpriced, and that's a luxury that we should be able to perform there for free in front of strangers? No. Like, no offense, I'm pretty sure I'd have a lot more luck with fucking exactly how I am now, not writing anything, just going up to a random producer, like, who I'm semi-friends with, and being like, hey, can I get, like, on stage for even 2 minutes? And then I would have, like, 10 times more luck, and he'd probably still at least throw a little money my way. I'm just saying. Hell, I'm speaking from experience. I've done that before. Jesus Christ. So it's like I already didn't really want to take the comedy classes. I was curious. It piqued my interest. And I was like, sure, I can go even if I'm not going to be an official comedian. Just to fucking try and see how it goes. And I was optimistic as fuck. Bought my notepad and everything. And it's been so fucking bullshit such far. And I already was willing to, I was like, I should just quit this, but I don't know. My buddy will probably keep sending me money or trying to pay me to go. And he might be disappointed if I stop going just because I don't like the classes. And he's really, really hoping that by the end of this, it'll all work out. And maybe I could perform on a showcase for him and blah, blah, blah. Just for this shit to happen where a bitch is fucking raging out and aping out at me because she didn't get a fucking half. It's like you wanted me to rip at my chicken sandwich that you didn't pay for, mind you, in half with my bare fucking hands like a fucking just wild animal, and just hand you the mangled piece of like spicy sauce mangled chicken and torn brioche bread, and you were gonna eat that with your bare fucking hands in the class, and just because I said, oh, I'm not comfortable with that, I'm sorry, you want to cause a fucking, you want to fight in the class and cause a scene? Like, it's like, you know what? It's a secret blessing, because it's like, you know what? It's a perfect excuse and a perfectly valid reason to crash out and never go to that place again. Because fuck them. Perfectly good reason to not. It's like, it actually is like a blessing in disguise. Because it's like, cool, I don't have to go back and deal with just bullshit classes, bullshit hack comics, and then yeah, it's like if I had to see that stupid ass Rasputia built bitch get on stage one more time and keep talking about how she only has the luck where she can fuck bitches who have dirty vaginas and dirty pussy, I'm gonna say this: water fucking seeks its own level. If you are a magnet to dirty bitches, you should ask yourself why. I wish you could see the back of this bitch's neck. Like, oh my fucking, her fuck, I might have already said this, but the back of her head, with her little fucked up, like early 2000s fucked up taper fade. Ooh, she looked like she stepped out of a crack house. The back of her neck looked like how my pussy does on week 87 of celibacy. Just fucking hairy and jutting out all over the place. Like that ooh, that bitch dresses like Soulja Boy. With those oversized ass clothing. Like it's fucking, like, bitch. And then the shit still fits tight. It's like, bitch, ooh, it's like you are the last person to be crashing out this hard over a chicken sandwich. Bitch. But at the same time, it's like, you know, I get it. You can't pull in a crowd. You can't pull any bitches. And you can't even pull off, like, a little chunk of my chicken sandwich. It's like, what does this bitch have going for her? Her friend is putting her on stage out of pity. That's it. It's good to know that it's always whack bitches who try to shit on me. It's like, that does make me feel better. And you know what? It's a stepping stone that makes me be like, you know what? Being alone is actually really good. Cause then it's like, no offense, I kind of see why I've spent several years just fully fucking alone. Sometimes I get sad about it, but then I remember there's instances like this where I will put myself forward. I'll pay an overpriced fee for something, and I'll go to a restaurant and food will be overpriced. I get the food, it's fucking shitty, and staff are shitty, and then everyone's shitty, and then I try to pay for my food like a good little girl, and then the staff are making me feel like shit because they feel like my tip wasn't high enough, and it's like, this is, and then next thing you know, I'm being yelled at by the manager, and then shit goes, it's like, yeah, I see why I stay the fuck home. Like, being in the fetal position on my floor is a lot more pleasurable than dealing with this shit. Like, Jesus, like, oh, people just, yeah, let's just say I'm grateful because you know what? I just fucking aired this bitch out online in a place where many, many people will see it. And I don't give a fuck what happens because I'm going to be inside. I'm going to be taking down my braids, doing self care, skincare, and eating delicious fucking chicken sandwiches. And having a beautiful, wonderful fucking time. Also, the funny thing is, this bitch, like, a few weeks ago, she was asking for my opinion on, like, Section 8 housing or cheap housing she could get. Because the bitch, like, I'm not saying she's homeless. I don't know if she's homeless. I don't know like that. I'm just saying it's like, she was talking mad shit and being mad disrespectful for someone who just a few weeks ago was like, ooh, do you know any good apartments to live at? Da-da-da. I don't make that much money. It's like, shut the, like, it's like, odd that she got so disrespectful over me and I tried to help her a few weeks ago. And now she's just mad that she doesn't get half my chicken sandwich. And I know damn well she already ate that day. I didn't eat all day because I got issues. Let's calm down. I tried so hard not to fucking stoop down low to her level of bullshit. Because I thought to myself, she's already aping it up by acting like a screaming fucking chimpanzee in this goddamn classroom all because I didn't give her half of a chicken sandwich. Like, Jesus Christ. It's like, and that sounds racist as fuck to say, but it is actually the most accurate description of what happened. It was ridiculous. And I did not need to stoop down to her level by also acting like a chimpanzee and fleeing my own body fluids her direction. That would have been bad and also illegal. And then it probably wouldn't have just been like, ooh, Tamia gets a few cold shoulders from some shitty ass comedians. It would have been like, Tamia is no longer in. Tamia has a fucking warrant out for her arrest. That would have been bad. So yeah, I chose my sanity because I still, at the end of the day, it's like, look at me. I have a lot more than she does. I have peace of mind. I have friends that care about me. I have a healthy BMI. I have teeth that actually are straight. I'm not a snaggletooth bitch who has black rimmed gums when they should really, like, it's like, I'm not saying that that's not colorist. Her gums are naturally pink. She takes such little care of herself that she has black rims around each of her individual teeth. She's a nasty stank hoe. And I'm doing a million times better than her. So frankly put, that's not that bad. And now I get to avoid doing a shitty showcase in front of a bunch of shitty people and letting shitty hat comics try to tell me on stage why I'm not doing good. And I also don't have to perform free labor in front of people I'm funnier than while they get paid and I get nothing out of it. So you know what? It was a blessing in disguise. I get to have an excuse to be like, that bitch was hostile, she was aggressive and abrasive, and she was awful and rude and called me out my name and a fucking cunt, so I'm never going back. And my friend will be like, oh, okay, understandable. She sounds like she was harassing you unnecessarily, and she was being really fucked up, as if and like acting like she was gonna get violent. I see why you wouldn't want to go back. And that's my out, you know? Sometimes that happens in situations where you can't fully leave. Like, sometimes you need to, like, I remember I worked at this one restaurant and I didn't, like, I was like, one of these days I'm gonna quit, one of these days I'm gonna quit. And then finally it was like, I remember I showed up to work that day and like into my shift, I was the only person on schedule aside from my manager and this new hire who had zero experience in the food industry whatsoever. And my manager was already not doing shit. And I remember specifically, I tried, I remember specifically like I was like, wow, it's like a few hours before the Friday night like dinner rush is about to swarm this place, like right before, and I'm gonna be the only person working who knows what's going on and what to do. I'm gonna have to be the cashier, the table busser, the person washing off like cups. I might even have to be the bartender, and that's not even legal. I'm gonna have to be running plates of food, taking orders down, boxing up pickup orders, all this shit. While what my manager Nika is gonna be in the back bullshitting on her phone, or she's gonna be sitting at tables gossiping with them as if the whole place isn't in fucking chaos. And I remember, like, the last straw was as simple as I walked up to Nika. I was like, hey, I'm having issues with my clock in. Can you help adjust it for me as we speak? Because I really don't feel comfortable working off the clock. And you want to know what happened? The bitch just raged out. She acted so fucking ridiculous that next thing you know, I had a blackout. I was in the fucking bathrooms, fucking kicking open doors, throwing the trash can across the place, doing a few other things that I just remembered I did right now and don't feel comfortable telling you, but I'm sure you could guess what I did. It was bad. It was very bad. And then I decided that, you want to know what happened? I worked like half an hour or so on autopilot, clocked out for my break, and decided on my break that I was fine without this job and that there were plenty of other restaurant jobs I could get that were better. Texted her that I wasn't coming back, and then went home and took a nap and masturbated, and it was good. And that place fell into total disrepair from that point forward, and now that business is closed down. Amen. Sometimes life sends you bullshit just because it's like, okay, she's not gonna leave this situation otherwise. Like, hell, it's probably the same reason why my mom fucking lost her goddamn mind when that last time I ever saw her. Or one of the last times I saw her. Like, the second to last time I saw her when she attacked me and I had to leave for my safety. Like, before then, I remember I was getting so close to having a comfortable home life. I had my little TV studio set up in my bedroom, and my bedroom was getting clean, and I had my laundry pickups, and I was doing so well at undoing damage she had done to my fucking bedroom and to all of my items. And she came to instigate one more time, and you know what happened? A fight happened. And you know what happened? Well, let's just say 3 years estranged and happily safe. So, yeah. I don't like when I meet black people who make me feel embarrassed and try to make it's like I'm just saying people need to act with some fucking decorum. I'm just saying. I don't like when people put me in situations where I could sound like a racist, where I have to say, "Ooh, you are making black people look bad." I don't like people who put me in situations to say shit like that. I date too many white men for that. I don't want to. I'm like, I'm like black in the way that Gabrielle Union is black, where it's like you look at me and you're like, "Yeah, that's a black person," but then you talk to me and you're like, just saying. Don't I'm just don't. Because it's like, why are two black women fighting over a chicken sandwich and over stupid shit? Why are you doing that? You're making us look bad in front of all these white people. I don't like that. But it's okay. Because you know what? I still acted tactfully and decorum-like. I'm safe. I'm at home. And I have my dignity, my self-esteem. I have a very nice apartment, for the most part, kind of. I have my sanity. I have people who are on my side and love me. I have successful comedy that I don't need those motherfuckers to teach me about. And I actually have people who laugh at the shit I say. And on top of that, I have a fucking chicken sandwich. So it all works out in the end. Amen.